Hi students and families. Today we're looking at interpreting the remainder of a division problem. As you complete this video, you will complete a note sheet. There are 4 examples that you must copy and complete from this note sheet. Make sure you have your note sheet available. If not, download one from the website now. The whole unit is focusing on division and how I can use place value to divide. Today you're specifically learning on how you can use remainders in those word problems and what those remainders might really mean. We call this interpreting the remainder. There are 4 ways to interpret the remainder of a division problem. You could write the remainder as a fraction, drop the remainder, add 1 to the quotient, or use only the remainder. We will complete one example for each of these strategies. You should complete the notes and copy these examples as you go through the video. First, let's look at write the remainder as a fraction. Callie has a board that is 60 inches long. She wants to cut 8 shelves of equal length from the board and use the entire board. How long will each shelf be? In this problem, I have a total amount of 60 inches. And I see that they're going to cut it into 8 equal lengths. Additionally, they're going to use the entire board, leaving no leftovers. Because the total group is being split into 8 equal groups, and all of the original amount is going to be used with no leftovers, I'm going to write this remainder as a fraction. Let's solve this problem and see how we would write a remainder as a fraction. To solve this problem, I need to solve 60 inches divided by 8. To do 60 divided by 8, let's use partial products. I know that 8 times 5 is 40. So I'm going to subtract 40 from 60, leaving 20. I also know that 8 times 2 is 16. So if I subtract 16 from 20, I have 4. Since 4 is less than 8, it's my remainder. To find my answer, I add my partial products of 5 and 2. And since 5 plus 2 is 7, my answer is 7. And then my remainder 4. Now, as we mentioned earlier, this problem is going to not have any remainder. She wants to use the entire board. Since I'm going to use the entire board, I need to decide about those last 4 inches. I'm going to have 7 sections and then 4 inches remaining. That means I have to use those inches. To do that, I write my remainder as a fraction. In this case, my remainder goes over my divisor, giving me the fraction of 4/8, giving me a final answer of 7 4/8. Each shelf will be 7 4/8 inches. Now parents, you may be looking at this going, I know that 4/8 can be reduced. And you're right. In simplest form, 7 4/8 is the same as 7 1/2 inches. But based on our current learning, the students haven't learned fractions enough to do simplest form, and it will not be expected at this time. Now let's look at the next example for drop the remainder. In this problem, Callie has 60 beads, and she wants to make 8 identical bracelets and use as many beads as possible on each bracelet. How many beads will be on each bracelet? I still have a total amount of 60, in this case 60 beads. And those 60 beads now are going to be split to make 8 identical bracelets. That means that each bracelet's going to have the same number of beads. Callie also wants to use as many beads as possible. That means she wants to use up as many as she can and leave very little left over. In this case, to answer the question, how many beads will be on each bracelet, my incomplete groups of beads will not be used. So for the answer to this question, I will drop the remainder. Let's solve it and see what that might look like. This time, let's solve 60 divided by 8 using the traditional algorithm. This is a method that you'll look into later in the chapter. To solve 60 divided by 8, I think, what times 8 is going to get me close to 60? And I know that 8 times 5 is 40, but that's not very close to 60. So I try another one. I know that 8 times 7 is 56. That's pretty close to 60. Since 8 times 8 is 64, and that's more than 60, I know my answer has to be 7. And since 7 times 8 is 56, I subtract to find my remainder of 4. In this case, I see that Callie can put 7 beads on each bracelet, and she'll have 4 beads left over. Those 4 beads would be extra. She won't be able to use them to make the same bracelet, nor can she cut beads in half for the bracelet. In this case, the answer is that Callie can put 7 beads on each bracelet. Sometimes when we do division with remainders, to find the answer to a word problem, we have to add 1 to the quotient. Check out this problem. Now Callie has 60 beads, and she wants to put 8 beads in each container. How many containers will she need? Since Callie still has 60 total beads, and she's going to put those beads into containers with 8 beads in each container, to answer the question of how many containers she needs, I'm going to have to add 1 to the quotient, because her leftover pieces will need to be put somewhere, otherwise she would lose them. So I add 1 to the quotient to find my answer. As we've previously solved, 60 divided by 8 is 7, remainder 4. What this means is that Callie is going to have 7 containers with 8 beads in each container. Since 7 times 8 is only 56, Callie has 4 additional beads that are not in a container. Since she won't want to lose those 4 beads, they'll also go in a container. And in this case, Callie will actually need 8 containers. In the final type of question, you'll solve a problem and only use the remainder. This time, Callie has 60 stickers, and she wants to give an equal number of stickers to 8 friends. She'll give the leftover stickers to her sister. How many stickers will Callie give to her sister? Callie has a total of 60 stickers that she's splitting up between 8 friends. But the leftover stickers are going to her sister. So to answer the question, how many stickers will Callie give to her sister, I only need to know how many leftover pieces there are. In this case, only the remainder answers my question. Since 60 divided by 8 is still 7 remainder 4. The remainder, or leftover, becomes the part that goes to Callie's sister. So Callie's sister gets 4 stickers. It's that time. I'd like you to complete the check problems that accompany this lesson. We'll review these problems at the beginning of class tomorrow, as well as complete additional practice on this skill. Make sure to put your notes in your folder. This is a skill we'll work on, and it will take practice. You'll need to hold on to these. Otherwise, you'll have to complete them again. Have a good night.